Good morning. Hi, Quentin. Hello, hello. Everybody come in, say good morning. Even if you don't want to, say good morning. It'll make you feel better. It's raining here. So we had an eclipse yesterday, and here we are. Here we are today. Sharing this around. Dum, dum, dum. All right. I think that's the last place I got to share it. So, good morning. Rainy day in Clarksville. Yup, I hear you, friend. I hear you. It is. The only thing I can figure is hey, you know, the moon and the sun did all that work yesterday. So, here we are. Here we are. Let me bring this up so I know I don't miss any comments. Oh, okay. Lee says I sound good. That's awesome. Okay. Bum, bum, bum. All right, let me put this up here so I can look at that. Okay, so good morning, good morning, good morning. Hi, Rosie. Good to see you. Yeah. So everybody survived the eclipse. I think everybody was like, oh no, is it the end of time? Is the world gonna end? We didn't see it as crazy as I was watching some of my friends like in Texas. It was crazy, and my niece, Michaela, she sent us some video. I haven't shared them yet, but she sent some videos and some pictures too. Even in West Virginia, where they're at, they saw a whole lot more than I saw. That's for sure. But that is, I thought that was kind of cool. Um, Eclipses are nothing new. It's just some of them seem to be more dramatic than other ones. Um, but it always astounds me just how um, just how great God is, the things that He has put into place to share with us, how gravity and placing planets exactly where they need to be so there won't be a collapse to us here. I've always wondered how could people not believe in God, knowing that there are things somebody a lot smarter than us has got to have put all this together for us. Hi, Roger. Good to see you. I didn't see you last week, I don't think. So good to see you on here, my friend. Much love to you. Um, I am doing amazing. I am. Life is good. And I am loving life. I get to take one of my customers out for her birthday today. I'm going to take her out and treat her to a meal. Um, some people have heard me talk about her, Miss Pam, and she is just a crazy old soul. And but she lives alone and she doesn't have a lot of friends. And I believe she's turning 80. Mm, gosh, I can't remember. I think she's turning 84. So I am going to take her out and just love on her a little bit and let them sing happy birthday to her in the restaurant. And just let her know that, sometimes just when you think nobody cares, you know what? Somebody shows up. Somebody shows up in your life. And isn't that the truth? That is what happens a lot of the time. Um, we last week we talked about, boy, that one hit me right between the eyes for sure. We talked about, is it really that big of a deal if I stay offended? And we talked about Joseph and his brothers, who were jealous of him and were going to kill him, and then sold him into slavery, right? And just said like, we're tired of the fact that Dad likes him better. Dad likes he is always the favorite. We're so tired of him being the favorite. And how God Oh, sorry about that. How God just used all of that. That God knew there was going to be a famine coming. And Joseph absolutely could have stayed petty and could have stayed angry and could have held it against them. Good morning, Tiff. Um, but he didn't. He used it. He used it for good and knew that if this was going to happen, if his brothers were going to do this, how could he use this to bring his people to the place that he wanted them? So we're going to kind of follow up on that. Again, for anybody who's just joining for the first time, because I share this in all my groups, this is a book by Liza Turkhurst. Was introduced to her in all her writings, her devotionals, when I was going through my cancer scare. And God really used her in my life during that time. There's just no other way to put it. Really, really used her in her messages. I will forever be grateful to Kathy for turning me on to her because she has been through so much in her life. And sometimes if you read a story or you meet people or you listen to somebody speak and they like speak to your soul because maybe you have experienced stuff that they have experienced, and that is where I am. Hey, Sarah, twice, Sarah, twice. I love you. I'm so glad you stopped by. Y'all know when Sarah shows up, I stop everything I'm doing because I must say hello to her. We don't get to talk very often, but um, this is my girl, Sarah, right here. We have been friends for a very long time, and I will be eternally grateful that business brought us together, even though that we're not in the same businesses anymore. But isn't that great? Isn't it great, the friendships and the fact that you can love each other despite. I love that. I love that. And I feel like we're kind of the epitome of that. So thank you for stopping by, my friend. Good to see you. Hi, Julie. Good to see you this morning. Um, so we figure out how certain things are used in our life, and a lot of times when things happen, you go, "This is just the worst thing." I've been there. I mean, I've been there from my mom dying. I can remember when my son was on the job and he got hit in the eye with a high-powered tool, and I can remember how devastating that was to me. Devastating to him too. But what happened is it kind of changed the pathway of his life too. It changed his career, which also has taken a change again. So it's weird how if we just sit back and we trust God and we trust direction, that even the worst of things, God can use even the worst of things to bring about good. In this story today, another one of her stories, um, again, share how something bad that was going on in her life, I love you too, sister. Thank you again for always making me feel special. I love you, Sarah. Um, I just believe that he uses things that may not even sometimes be helping people in the moment. But my hopes when I started this almost 2 years ago on Tuesdays, and you can also find these at my YouTube, the replays, my hopes are that at times in your life, if you're not going through something right at that moment, that what will happen is that you're going to think back to this and you're going to go, oh, this reminds me of that time that Molly was on her live stream and we talked about this and we talked about what happened. And I remember her saying that this person didn't think they were going to get through this and what good could possibly come out of this. And where can we see that we've moved forward? Where can we see that we've taken steps to do better? Where can we say we've said, okay, this isn't working, so what is next? Because sometimes you don't want to see that something's not working. It could be, in this case, a bad marriage, right? It could be a bad relationship. It could be the fact that nothing is as it was. And you're wondering, how in the world could God possibly use how bad something feels right now. If you have people who turn their backs on you, people who shun you, people who don't like a decision you've made, and you say to yourself, "Oh, I don't know what to do. Do I just go back to being what I was and being unhappy to make somebody else happy? Do I stay in that bad relationship and just let it affect me negatively just to make people happy?" And God says, "No, hold on, because I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you how I'm going to take anything that feels bad to you in this moment, and I'm going to show you how to grow from it." And isn't that always amazing when sometimes we don't even see ourselves growing from it, and then suddenly we turn around and there is growth? I love that. I love that 100%, that in the scariest moments, we don't see that the roots are planting for new growth. Because if you're like me, sometimes you just want to jerk up and go back to what felt comfortable. No matter how hard it is, no matter what's going on in your life, no matter how bad you know it was or was getting, or that it just wasn't working, and you're just like, "But I was comfortable there." Hi, Vicky. I was comfortable there. I knew. I know it might not have been the best for me, but it was familiar. It was what I knew. It was familiar. And sometimes you feel like it can never ever get get better. I'm here to tell you, God is always on time. Sometimes, people say, "Oh, well, sometimes God can be early." I don't know. I don't think God is ever early. I don't think God is ever late. But I do believe he's always right on time. But that doesn't always mean that that's equal to our time. It doesn't always mean that things are going to make sense in the moment that you would like it to make sense. And that's what we're going to read about. We're going to read about this. And again, reading this devotional today. And then I went back and I read it again while I was getting ready this morning. And I just thought, man, this is just joining in from last week. It is so amazing when you see how God works. I mean, she titled this one, this is chapter 10. She titled This Won't Be for Nothing. That's what the title of it is. And the verse is Genesis 50:20. You intended to harm me, but God intended for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives. Listen to this. This is again going back. This is Joseph talking to his brothers who wanted to kill him, but threw him in a pit and beat him up and then sold him into slavery. And then years passed later, and Joseph rose up as somebody great in the king's kingdom. And there was a famine in the land, and the brothers, they never knew what happened to your brother. They could have righted that. They could have gone and said, "Oh, I can't believe we just let our emotions get the best of us, and we need to go make sure. We need to go find our brother. We need to go make sure he's okay." They didn't. They didn't. They just stayed in the awful feeling, and I'm sure they did, of what they had done to their brothers, thinking everything was going to be better now that he wasn't there. But it wasn't, because he brought great pain to the parents. But Joseph didn't let the fact that somebody did something horribly and talked about him horribly and wanted to sell him and wanted to dismiss him and wanted to cancel him and wanted to say, "We want to pretend like you didn't even exist. We want you out of our lives." And he said to the brothers when they came to him for food in Egypt, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives." And he's not just talking about saving people who were coming there for food to make sure that they didn't die of hunger. He's talking about the 12 tribes. He's talking about making sure that God's people were taken care of. So let's get into it, okay? Let's jump into it. Here we go. This is what Liza says. Do you ever worry that all your hard times and sufferings will be for nothing? That all this pain you keep trying to press through is completely and utterly pointless? I have to sometimes wonder because, wow, Satan doesn't want this one to be told, y'all. Okay, let's get into this. Stop it. Have you ever wondered, for a long time, how is this going to work out? How is something good going to come out of something that was this bad? And if we don't see it in the moment, we just assume it's not going to happen. Because again, we want to feel better in our time. Again, we want God to show us now. But God knows that sometimes we have to walk the journey. Sometimes we have to walk the path that is not the easiest to walk. Sometimes we got to see exactly what people are made of. Sometimes we have to see exactly what we're made of. And sometimes we don't realize just how strong we could be. But God knows. Liza says, I deeply understand that kind of fear and fatigue. When you pray the same prayers over and over with little to no change, disappointments can turn into disillusions. Have you ever been there? Have you ever just prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed for something? And has it ever appeared to you that God's just not listening? That He just doesn't hear you? You just want something to go another way. You just want your relationship to be different. You just want things to go better with your kids. You just want this world to clean itself up. And it just doesn't seem like God is listening. I'm here to tell you He's listening. I'm here to tell you there's a plan in it. And I'm here to tell you I'm the most impatient person ever in the world. And when He doesn't do it in my time, I don't like it. But I do know that in the end, He comes through. And a lot of times, He comes through and it never ends how I wanted it to end. It never, a lot of times, I say never, sometimes. But in other times, it ends up making me grow in ways that I never thought was possible. Sometimes it ends a relationship when you don't even know that relationship needs to go. That in order for you to grow, in order for you to be, hey Beatrice, in order for you to be what you need to be at your best, in order for you to be in the place that God wants you to be, that you're in a whole different place than where you thought that you would be. That, in my opinion, happens a lot in my life. I don't know about y'all. Maybe you get everything you ask for, but what happens is when I start saying, hey God, could you please make this come out for your glory? God, make this be something that will help others. When I was diagnosed with a mass on my kidney, and they didn't go in and take biopsies or anything like that. They just said, every doctor I talked to said, Molly, this presents as cancer. Will we know absolutely if it's cancer? Not until we get in there and remove it and then we take a biopsy then. But Molly, I'm here to tell you that we believe this is. I think I wanted him to say, we're just not sure. I think I would have rathered at the time for him to go, I don't know. We won't know. But we don't know. And there's always a chance that it's not. And I guess he could have said that, but he said, this is presenting to us as cancer. The only hope I had is that they said that it was found so early, divine intervention. But we were just coming out of the pandemic and no surgeries were happening. Boom, 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 boom. And I remember that by the time I got in to see him, it was July. And I remember that my surgery was not scheduled until October. And I thought, hey, Gwenda. And I thought, oh my gosh, I cannot live with this cancer inside of me for 6 months. I can't do this. They've got to get it out sooner. And it didn't matter if they were reassuring me time after time after time, Molly, I'm telling you, we believe this is going to be fine. It's very, very small. You have caught this at a point where you had no symptoms, Molly. You came in for something else and it was found. We call that divine intervention. This was probably meant to be found, but you've got to believe that you're going to be okay with this. You're going to be fine. But for 6 months, I let that rob me of being brave. And I let it rob me of finding joy in the moment that it was found. And I let it rob me of being the example that I should have been to people who were following me. I would be okay one day and I would be a basket case the next day. And in the midst of it all, I could say, I know God's got this, but I just wanted it to happen my way. I wanted it out yesterday. What I didn't know is in those 6 months, how much growth that I would experience in my personal being, in my relationship with God, how much I would have to look at my emotions for what they were, just the fact that I wanted things my way. And God said, I'm going to use this. And what I'm hoping is that you'll choose to be closer to me. In the end, here we are. Years later, cancer-free, me trying to share all of the things that God has done for me, all the ways he has directed my life, all the ways that he has let the right people show up in my life time and time again, and at the same time, taken the right people out of my life that maybe he felt like were not good for me. And believe me, it's not what I wanted a lot of times, because remember, sometimes what isn't good for you is just comfortable. It's just comfortable. People who smoke, I've never smoked, ever. But I have watched people in my life who have massively struggled with this time and time again. I watched my mom struggle with a horrible addiction to smoking, and she always felt like she could never get ahead of it. And I can remember when she was able to finally put them down. But shortly after that, she was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. But she never regretted finally being able to conquer that addiction. Sometimes we're addicted to things that aren't even, like we're addicted to bad relationships. We're addicted to somebody treating us horribly. We're addicted to We're addicted to the fact that you know it's not right that your kids are treating you the way they're treating you, but because they're your kids, you just take it. There's no fix for it. You're just like, it just is what it is. I'm telling you that no matter what you're going through, no matter what that looks like, this won't be for nothing. Let's get back to this. I deeply understand that kind of fear and fatigue when you pray the same prayers over and over with little to no change. Disappointments can turn into disillusionments. That's why I wish I could give you a gift today. It's actually one I received myself in the middle of the most heartbreaking season of my marriage. When my husband Art and I realized our marriage wasn't going to make any progress without some professional help, we started seeing an amazing counselor. We spent more than 75 hours in his office. It was with it was all with the understanding that Art and I were on the same page, moving ahead together. All the devastation would be repaired, restored, and made right. But during one of our sessions, my counselor discerned that we'd leave his office and walk into one of the fiercest seasons of this battle. He took a professionally mounted frame off his office wall and tore the backing to open it. He pulled out a real Purple Heart, the high honor the government gave his family when his brother-in-law was killed in the line of duty trying to save others. Then he knelt in front of us and placed this priceless medal in my hand. Hold on to this, Lisa, for as long as you need it. When the battle gets so fierce, you wonder if you will survive. Remember this moment of me telling you that you will make it through this. If God gave out Purple Hearts, you would absolutely receive this high honor. When you are going through, what you are going through won't be for nothing. Your heart and your hurt will not be wasted. It will be for the saving of many lives. Speechless, I looked down at this beautifully outrageous gift. The moment stole all of my words, and I had nothing to offer back to him but tears. I mouthed the words, "Thank you." I felt brave that day. Less than a month after we returned home from that counseling appointment, my heart was devastated again. I couldn't breathe. The medal was the only physical thing I felt I could hold when every bit of my life was flying around as shattered debris in a tornado. I thought we were almost done with that horrific season, and then I realized we hadn't even started the healing. And while that Purple Heart couldn't heal me, it sure steadied me for the next couple of years as Art and I did the hard work to put our marriage back together again. I went to that friend who helped steady me. And now I want to be that friend who helps steady you today. Because I know what it's like to feel battle weary. As we talked about in the previous devotion, Joseph, who spoke the words in today's key verse, was familiar with feelings of discouragement and fatigue due to the betrayal of his brothers. How could you be thrown into a pit by your family, sold into slavery, and then unfairly imprisoned, without wondering if any good could ever come out of the story? But God had a plan, and the brothers' betrayal was not the end of Joseph's story. From pit to palace, Joseph was positioned to spare not only the lives of his family, but the entire nation of Israel. This is why his words to his brothers in Genesis 50:20 are such a beautiful picture of redemption and hope. You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives. God has a plan for your life too. The enemy's going to try to trip you and rip you into shreds with the hurtful hisses that all of this suffering is for nothing. Don't you dare listen. God can still bring good from what feels impossible. Hey, Michelle, you will see beautiful even from what feels too far gone. God has a plan. I'm holding a purple heart in my hand that reminds me of how so much of what we go through isn't just for us. It's for the saving of others. This message calling forth bravery in my soul isn't just for me. It's for you too. I knew the minute the counselor put it in my hand, it should be pinned on your chest as well. And if you were here with me today, I'd do just that. I would remind you that your story, surrendered into the hands of God, will not be wasted. Close your eyes and breathe. You're brave, beautiful, and hand-picked. A decorated soldier in this real battle with a glorious ending. I'm declaring over you that the Lord will restore you, redeem you, and write his glorious story onto the pages of your life. The prayer she gives us is, Lord, I'm so thankful to know there isn't a single thing the enemy can send my way that you can't overcome, redeem, and use for my good and the good of others. I'm choosing to surrender every heartache and difficult circumstance into your hands today. Guys, I've said this time and time again. Some of the worst episodes of my life have brought through some of the greatest celebrations in life. Some of those celebrations come from just simply sharing with you. Some of the celebrations and some of the things have been, why would God let me go through this? Why? Because he knew you were going to go through it too. Why? Because he knew you were going to feel something similar too. Why? Because he knew that you didn't need to feel alone. Why? Because he needed to know and that I was going to be there to say, yep, I have felt unworthy too. I have felt like a failure too. I have felt like, why me too? I have felt like there's no way this is going to be worked out too. I have felt like, will this ever come together again? Will this ever save itself? Will I ever be the same again too? You're not alone in this journey. You are not alone through the strife, the uncertainty, the fact that this world looks like it's just falling apart and kids are disrespectful and people, there's massive entitlement and nothing is as it should be. You're not alone in feeling that, but together we can be better from it. We can be. We don't have to be in any of this alone. We don't. We are here together. And God has a plan, because when we come together, what happens is our stories are used together. And then you feel like you're not alone. And you know what happens? The next person that comes into your life that needs to hear they're not alone, now you have been brave enough to say, let me tell you, we are not alone. There are other people struggling just like us. God has a plan for you, even if you can't see it in the here and the now. I have lived that for almost 61 years now. I've lived so much of my life just not knowing, and some of my life not caring, just flying by the seat of my pants, being mad at God. It is what it is. And then I've lived another part of it, simply saying, God, show me. I don't want to make the wrong move. I don't want to stay where I shouldn't stay, but I don't want to go where I'm not supposed to go. Show me the exit, Lord. Show me what I should do. Show me what I should do with this person in my life. Show me what I should do with this relationship in my life. Show me what I should do with where I am with my kids. Show me, God, what should I do with my job? God, show me where I need to be getting my blessings from. Should it be that friend who said they were a friend, but when times get hard, suddenly they can't be found? You know, I'm the person who's going to tell you that even when it comes to family, just because you have the same DNA does not mean that person is good for you in the name of family. It doesn't. I have spent a lifetime, more than a half a lifetime for sure, trying to be everything that anybody would ever want from me, whether it's in business, whether it's in my family life, no matter what it is. And I'm here to tell you, it's not what you're supposed to do. It's not. You have to figure out, no matter what the next step is, does that next step that you're ready to take, is it going to encourage growth? Hi, Barbie. Good to see you. Is it going to help you grow? And does it have the possibilities to help save others through the journey that you're getting ready to walk, through the story that you're getting ready to tell? And if other people don't like your journey, and if other people don't like what you're saying, so what? It's not their journey. It's yours. It's yours. And even if you mess up, it's your journey. Stop living your life trying to make other people happy. Stop. Stop it. That is the biggest misdirection that people can make. You know, don't feel embarrassed. What is it? It's women too. It's not just men, but men don't. I don't need counseling. I don't need to go to counseling. I don't need to go to buddy. I'm fine. You want to go to counseling? You go. You're the problem. Well, there's the problem right there. Never realizing that you're the problem too. Huh. Yeah. It's that society thing. Oh, everything's okay. It doesn't matter. Let's just kick it under the carpet. Let's just trip over it. I mean, aren't you tired of a lifetime of just sweeping everything under the carpet and trying to be what everybody wants? And before you know it, you're tripping. Every step you take, you're tripping. Because God has a bigger plan for you. And maybe you're scared, not of what God has for you, but maybe you're scared of what others will think of you. How others will relate, because, they know how you always are. And even if they don't like who you are, they know who you are. And you should always be that person. I was tired of being that person. It was exhausting. Yes, Michelle, it was exhausting. Always trying to be what everybody else wanted me to be, even if it didn't feel right. Even if it didn't feel like, this doesn't feel right, this doesn't feel like, it's not just uncomfortable, it doesn't feel right. God gave you that gut instinct for a reason. He gave you that spiritual intellect to show you, hey, your spidey senses are working, something If you want change, he's not going to make you change. If you want change, you're going to have to step out and make the change happen. If you want people to respond differently in a relationship with you, then you're going to have to step out and say, you're going to have to respond to me differently if you want to be in a relationship with me. I don't think there's anybody who's watching this live or replay who is meant to be a doormat in life. You are meant for more than letting everybody in your life walk over you. Look, Joseph didn't like the fact that his brothers didn't like him, hated him, were jealous of him, just wanted him gone, so much so that that's what they did. They made him gone. They were going to kill him. They sold him into slavery, and then he was imprisoned. I'm pretty sure that would have made me pretty hot pissed. I do. I think I'm like, Joseph, who are you that you did not get irritated with that did not make you mad? I think it did. But I think God used it, and he said, dude, don't unpack there. Don't unpack in something that you can't control. You can't control what your brothers did to you. You can't control the evil that was done to you. But I'm going to tell you right now that if you let me, I'm going to use the fact that somebody just did that to you, and I am going to use it, and you're going to be able to help others, and you keep your eyes on me, and give this to me. I am going to direct your path. And I'm not going to tell you it's always going to be easy, Joseph, but I'm going to tell you that you are going to find favor again with the right people. With the right people. Not the people it felt comfortable with. Not the people that you felt like, oh, but this is all I've ever known. No. You have to walk through the valley in order to find what is better for you in God's timing. And like Joseph, even during the hardest storms, like Liza in this story, and if you missed that part of the story, you need to go back at the beginning. You need to watch this. You need to listen to this. You need to hear what she went through to know that she held on to that little thing, that purple heart that reminded her that she just needed to be brave, that she would get through the storms of her marriage, that she would get through the storms of people and relationships, that she would get through the fact that people are jealous, that people just, they want what, again, jealousy. Jealousy is the worst thing in the world. People do and act just the weirdest when they are jealous of you. Oh, to your face, they love you. I love you. I love you so much. But they're the first people to want to trash you. The first people that want to help you doubt yourself. They can't get their eyes off of you long enough to get their eyes on themselves and say, do and be the best you can be. Stop looking at what somebody else has. Stop looking at somebody else's possibility and start looking at the possibilities that God has in front of you right now in this freaking moment and walk through that valley. I promise you, as hard as it is when they're talking, as hard as it is when they're trying to slap you, as hard as it is when they're being fake saying that they love you and they like you and they're this and they're that, I am here to tell you their opinions don't hold water. There are holes in their story. There are holes in how they live their life, and there are massive holes in what they count as a relationship with you. Hold your ground and have God with you and keep walking that journey, because He is going to take you to something that is better, that's going to help other people learn that when it is at its darkest, when it is at a place in your life that you're like, There's an eclipse happening in my light. I feel like everything that I'm going through right now is dark. I feel like it's never going to end. That this eclipse in my life is here forever. I'm here to tell you that eclipse does not last forever. The darkness in your life is not going to last forever. But you have got to keep walking through it. And eventually that sun's going to shine again if you choose. If you choose for it to. And for me, look, it's come from all different directions for me. I mean, I'm not going to lie, man. The last couple of months of my life, actually probably last 4 or 5 months of my life, have not been the easiest. And it's been really hard for me just to say, Molly, onward, no matter what. You say it to everybody else. Molly, do it. Molly, walk forward. Molly, quit looking at what everybody else wants you to do. God has opened doors for you to be a better person. Go be that person. And sadly, it doesn't change my love for anybody, because that's who God made me. Somebody that no matter what they're slamming at me, I'm going to love them regardless. But what I'm going to do most is I'm going to keep walking the journey. I'm going to keep walking the battles. I'm going to keep walking through the valleys. And there are pit vipers there, and there are rats, and there are snakes, and there are roots from trees that want to trip you up, and there are thorn bushes of life, and there is going to be scars, and there's going to be scrapes, and you're going to fall down, and there's going to be mud, and there's going to be quicksand. But on the other side, there is God bringing you through. Man, keep your eyes on Him. Keep your eyes on what you know that you're trying to get to. And forget the rest. Forget the rest, y'all. Because if you want it, you're going to have to fight for it. If you want it, you're going to have to work for it. If you want it, you're going to have to quit trying to get off on the side exits to get back to what you walked away from, because that wasn't working for you, as I recall. Quit holding on to the familiar. Dude, if that guy is hitting you, he's not for you. If they're verbally abusing you, they're not for you. If they're not trying to raise you up during your lowest or even your highest time, they're not for you. And if they say they're a friend, but they're not acting like a friend, they're not for you. Know the difference. Know the difference of what people want from you. And they'll clap all day long. All day long when you being exactly where they want you. But the moment that your path shifts and you're like, no more. No more. Man. Suddenly, what? There were people who were that when I divorced my first husband. People, they, believe me, they walked away. They blackballed me. There were people in my own family who were like, we don't understand. Why can't you just go for the third time and make this work? Why are you just upsetting the apple cart here? And why are you doing this? Why don't you just go back? And I'm like, because I choose not to. Because eventually everybody has a point where they say, no more. And I had a point. And I really wasn't sure I would ever hit that point. But I did. And you know what's really funny about it? It wasn't just the best thing for me or my kids. It was the best thing for my ex, too. It was. He didn't think so at the time. But it was. And in the end, the people I thought I lost, who just maybe didn't understand, we just created something newer, something better. People who really want the best for you are going to celebrate you even in your hard times, not walk away, not want you just when they want you. Hey, Sue Ann. People are going to loop arms with you and walk with you no matter what your journey is. And they're going to celebrate you, and they're going to raise you up. And those who aren't, let them go. Let them. Oh, somebody tagged me in that 3 times today. I don't know how y'all knew I needed it. Okay. I don't know how. But if you notice what my cover is on my Facebook now, it says, let them. Patty, you and 2 other people, I will love you forever. Man, did I need to read that. For the first time ever, after getting that first tattoo, I am thinking of getting another one that... Oh, Sue Ann, both my kids walked away from me. It's the prodigal son scenario. But who's going to last, Sue Ann? Because me allowing them to be exactly how they wanted to be was not going to help them, and it surely wasn't helping our relationship. And as a parent, for me, just in my situation, I had to say, no more. I love you. That never changes. But you don't get to do this anymore. Doesn't take away from the love, but how do they know anything different unless they have to deal with something different? It was the worst 2 years of my life. It was worse than the divorce. I can honestly say it was the worst thing. It was worse than my mom dying. It's trying to figure out how I was going to make it, even with all the crap that my kids bought me, all the hurt that my kids bought me. And let me reflect here. And all the hurt and the crap I was giving them. It was both sides. But what we all figured out in those years was that we really didn't want to be without one another, but we had to see if we could build something different. But you know what we had to do? We had to go through some life without each other, and we had to grow, and we had to figure, what did we bring positive in each other's lives? I had to believe, God, I didn't love them for all these years for this just to end up this way. And God said, no, I'm going to take this worst episode in your life, Molly, and I am going to bring something wonderful out of this. And it felt like an eon of time. Oh, impatience part of it, girl. Believe me, we gonna tell God, could we do this now? Could we just do 3 months? 3 months? It's been a year. I don't understand what you do. What I don't understand. Like, could we do it on this exit instead of waiting way down there, like 15 miles down the road? Why not we get off here? This looked like a good one for me. I've learned. I get it. No. It's God's time. Just keep talking to him, and you keep praying, and you know what you want. But you know what? When you start praying, God, your will and not mine, which is the hardest prayer in the world, when somebody's sick, to know that you want this, you want healing, but sometimes healing is on the other side and not here. Can I tell you? The waiting, the patience, the trusting, and the belief that God has got you and God has got them. But what you had was probably not healthy. And it probably wasn't going to benefit either one of you. Because I know it didn't do for me. And it was all for different reasons with both my kids. But I'm here to tell you the prodigal story of the prodigal son does absolutely exist. It absolutely does. And when they come back, and when you are ready, and you have evolved into exactly what you needed to be the best you, the strongest you, the place where you need to be. And they have done the same. Yeah. Sue Ann, it's hard, man. The first birthday without them, the first Thanksgiving, the first Christmas. When you know they're trying to hurt you because you don't hear from them on Mother's Day or your birthday. Whew, girl, I've lived it. I've lived it all. And for those who haven't, God bless you. I'm going to tell you the truth. I hope you never have to. I hope your kids are always on the straight and narrow. I hope life never touches you in that way. But that's not my story. My story is, if it does, I'm your girl. I'm your girl to show you as you can get through it. Got to keep following that path. Got to keep being exactly what you need to be and keep crawling sometimes and walking with your head up, no matter who disagrees with your journey. Never forget you are the one walking your journey. Never forget. And it's very true, Michelle. You know what? Sometimes you feel like you're ready, but what if they're not? What if they're not? Maybe they haven't gone through enough. Maybe they haven't hit their point. Sometimes it's not that we're not ready, but God ain't done with them yet. You know what I'm saying? He's not done with them yet. So, of course he does. But Sue Ann, you got to let him find him. Can't jam it down their throat. You just got to know what you believe. And you got to live what you believe. But you know what he tells us to do? Again, I'm going to say it again. Love the Lord your God with all your heart. And love people, even in their worst place. And if your kid's in his worst place right now, you love him. And if he's not willing to hear that, that's okay. You don't got to shove it, because there's going to come a day when they're going to need it. They've got to get there. I never thought I'd see that with my boys. I'm not going to lie to you. I never thought. My boys are in their 30s. I never thought I would see it. But it is. And by the way, you cannot be any good for them or anybody else unless you get to where you need to be and you acquire the strength and the intestinal fortitude, the guts to be your best you and to recognize things that you should do differently. For me, that was a huge learning thing. So you keep giving it to God. Every time you want to take that back and you say, oh yeah, God, here, let me, God, let me pick this up again. I'm going to pick up my relationship again with this person. I think I got it, and I'm going to do this. Every time you're tempted to do that, you leave it right there. Quit trying to pick up what you said you've given God, and quit trying to fix it yourself. Let him do a little molding. Let him do a little fixing. And it's not going to happen in our time. And again, God is not early and he is not late. He is always right on time. It's just not our time. And sometimes that's the most trying part. 100%. Okay, well, guys, I hope this has helped you. I know one thing, like I said, whew, boy, did it help me. These devotionals by her, these are amazing. Seeing Beautiful again. And I got to tell you, just when you think you got it right, I realize, boy, doesn't she hit home with me. So, yeah, Barbie, I hear you. It's hard. Look, I give it to him all the time. Let me be clear. I give stuff to God all the time. You know what my big problem is? My biggest problem is this. I keep picking it back up. Like what? He's not moving fast enough? Like what? I don't like his decisions? Like what? I think he should have been done and he should have used his wand and he should have done something differently. Let me tell you something. I am the worst offender on that. Either you're going to give it to God and you're going to leave it at his feet and you're going to let him mold it and you're going to let him take the time and you're going to let him learn lessons and you're going to let him. You have got to let him. Let go and let God. You keep picking it back up, it's just going to take you longer. I need you to know that it's going to take you longer. So give it to him. Give it to him. and know that what he's going to make out of this can be life changing, but not in your time, all in God's time. I'll see you guys next Tuesday. Have a great rest of your week.